Welcome to the Verdin Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin, joined by my guy G Sports via Zoom call. We got the video call kind of sorted out. We're going to debut it, try to make sure our Fridays are more eventful, if you will. Our pregame show, our top three games of the week segment. G's going to be joining along with us for it for the rest of the college football season. G, how you been, man?
Been good, man. Ready to get this weekend started to see what the LSU Tigers gonna do. Some Friday night football and what the Saints gonna do out there in Atlanta, man, against them Dirty Birds.
Yeah, a lot of big football games this weekend. I mean, our top three games of the week. That was a pretty easy segment to pick out. The Saints got a pretty pivotal game. I think that their division, they look, could be a little too early, could be a little overreaction. I think the NFC South could potentially see their winner or their primary leader emerge this weekend. And for LSU's case, it's really about how did they, and I don't want to say stop the bleeding, that might be a little dramatic, but how did they respond to the major adversity that is Harold Perkins being lost for the rest of the season? We kind of talked about it on the post game. You called it. You saw the knee buckle. You were worrying a little bit about this. It seemed worst case scenario, but it's the reality. Kind of react to Harold Perkins and just what's your overall assessment for how LSU is going to be able to handle it this weekend potentially and what they're going to have to do to kind of avoid that huge loss from messing them over.
Of course, you can't replace a premier stud athlete like Hal Perkins and what he does for that LSU defense. And when you got offensive coordinators trying to game plan, they have to identify what seven is at all times, regardless of what people want to say. Harold wasn't playing at the level we expected him to, but it was only a matter of time before he figured it out and started being the number seven we was accustomed to seeing. I think Blake and Coach Kelly and Bo Davis and Corey Raymond came up with a plan this past week and figured some things out on how they're going to be able to do some creative packages to be able to still get that defense to play at a higher level. So of course you can't replace number seven, but I think they'll be fine. The defense has been playing really, really well over the last couple of weeks. I was really impressed with what I saw in that second half against UCLA, shutting them out. Don't be surprised if this defense keeps rolling even without Harold Perkins, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, LSU's defense has had a little bit of a next man up mentality really from the beginning of the year after you saw Jacoby and Guillory go down. Then now, you lose a big piece in Harold Perkins. You've seen Zy Alexander pop in and out. Really, at every level of this defense, you've had to see freshmen step up and go to the plate. Or, kind of inexperienced players. We'll throw Whit Weeks in there. He's not a freshman, but he's a 2 year. Your safeties, you see Deshaun Spears. At times, you see PJ Woodland. Even at the defensive line, Ahmad Bro's gotten his chances. Gabe Relaford's gotten his chances. McKinley got a sack this past weekend. So it's kind of, I'm not going to say a blessing in disguise. You get to kind of throw the young guys out in the fire, see what they're made of, see kind of what they're capable of, if you will. But I think one of my biggest keys for LSU in this defense is you're going to have to stop this run, of course. You can't be afraid. You're missing big guys. It's not really going to matter, though. You're at LSU. You're in this position. They trust you. You're just going to have to step up to the plate, be physical. Hopefully, South Alabama doesn't go off for a 150 plus yard rushing game like we've kind of been accustomed to seeing LSU give up. Last week, it was an outlier. It was a good performance. I mean, despite the slow start, LSU's defense did really good, held them to what, 14 rushing yards? I mean, that was a phenomenal side of it in that regard. With South Alabama, this is a whole different beast. I think that Fluff is I'm not gonna hype him up too much because I know he's not playing the SEC comp and I know he's not playing the premier stars, but 350 plus yards, that's nothing to scoff at, especially when we've been seeing people toe the rock for like 3 to 5 yards per carry while he's trying to, get 6 to 7. He's out here kind of feasting. And I think, at first it might shake him a little bit. LSU kind of might, have to ease into this game. But I'm wondering what their plan is to address that. Is, Greg Penn, Whit Weeks, they're going to be inside, your main linebackers? Are you going to bring Major Burns down at the star? What do you do? What do you focus on? And how many different rotations do you have?
I just think that Blake is going to mix it up a lot. He's not going to continue to give him the same look. Don't forget that Gio Lopez is a freshman quarterback. Fluff Bothwell is a freshman running back. Coming into Death Valley as two true freshmen as your two best players. I think Blake gonna have something in hand for him, and so I think he's gonna just keep doing a lot of different looks, a lot of different moving his front around, just confusing them all night. Not to say that Gio Lopez and Fluff Bothwell won't have any success, but I think through four quarters, I think you'll see Blake and the rest of those guys on that defense get after him, and it'll be too much for him in the end. Just you gotta tip your head off to Major Applewhite though, the offensive coordinator from South Alabama, man, Baton Rouge guy. He's been doing a great job with those two true freshmen all season long, putting them in some really good situations to be successful. And when you talk about somebody like Flood Boswell, it's a big guy. I think he's 225 pounds. He runs really good behind his pads, so they're gonna have to tackle him really well on Saturday night. But I just think being in Death Valley, um, going against the LSU Tigers, what this gonna be their fourth game as a college player. I just think it's gonna be too much in the end. They would have to play all out of their minds, and they would have to put their cape on for them to come out and get a win on Saturday night, in my opinion.
My heart would stop. First things first. My heart would stop in Death Valley. I'd pass out on the sideline if South Alabama even honestly took a lead in the second half over LSU. I'd be nervous. My second key though, it kind of goes maybe a little hand in hand with you, and I'm gonna kind of add a little layer to it. So first things first is they can't wait till halftime to kick it in gear. Enough with that. They need to start fast. I've said it over and over and over. This is kind of the dead horse I've been beating. If like it's a basic key to victory, yeah, you want to start fast. But in LSU's instance, I mean, it's been excruciatingly slow for the last couple of weeks. So I just want to see like this is my goal: back-to-back scores and back-to-back stops in the first half. I just want to see the offense come out, two consecutive drives. It could be a field goal, touchdown, field goal, field goal. I don't care. Let's see two drives in a row, score, stop, stop, and then I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna give them a star for what it's worth. It'll make my heart happy to see LSU kind of add that consistency layer. And with the defense, we did lose Harold Perkins, but what do you have? Just kind of try to put an optimistic swing on it. You do have Braden Swinson, you do have Savion Jones, who are red hot. I mean, you can use any analogy you want for them. They've been in the backfield creating havoc. You lose Jacoby and Guillory, sure. You lost a lot of pieces. Right now, though, those two players are kind of playing. I'm not gonna say to their potential or at the best of their potential, but this is best case scenario for LSU's defense right now. Is that your defensive line is entering their stride against maybe one of the toughest runners that you've faced in the last few weeks. I think this is kind of one of those. I'm not gonna say litmus test games. You go into a bye week, you look at this film, and you can maybe create an effective game plan for someone like Ole Miss. But if this was Ole Miss this week, I feel like we'd be in hell in the handbasket. Ole Miss might score 50. I feel like LSU's offense, defense, or not really the offense, but the defense is in a spot right now where they're kind of trying to see who they got and what they can work with. The offense has been kind of, hitting on the pass game. The run game's growing. I don't think their struggles in the first half is anything that is other than them kind of just getting their confidence, getting their groove going. But going forward for the defense, this could be a matchup where some things don't go their way. Maybe they surprise everybody. They look phenomenal, and they shut South Alabama down to like 10 points. I'm thinking though, South Alabama does have a potential to score maybe two, three touchdowns, which quite frankly, saying LSU having a non-conference opponent coming into Tiger Stadium at this point in the year before the bye week, you'd think that they would kind of hit them over the head with a hammer, smash them. It might be a 63 to nothing, 77 to nothing, like you've been seeing our SEC compadres do. Tennessee's stomping people, Alabama's stomping people. I just don't think this is a game where LSU can just come in and stomp them, unfortunately. This might be a game where South Alabama kind of pushes the defense a little bit and gets them primed for what is about to come.
Man, I got to go back to, Major Applewhite, their offensive coordinator over there at South Alabama, man. This guy has been known to be a creative offensive mind since he's been in the game. He has a lot of experience calling plays. I just wonder if he's going to come into this game showing LSU defense something that they haven't seen on film because he's that kind of offensive mind. And so that's what I worry about a little bit. And then, you talk about somebody like Gio Lopez. I could see Major Applewhite trying to get him into a situation where he using his legs a lot throughout this game, rolling him out the pocket, a lot of RPOs, a lot of quarterback design runs, trying to slow the game down. Uh, and it could kind of get LSU's defense off balance because they haven't seen that much of it on film. And so that's what I'm looking forward to seeing on Saturday. Will Major Applewhite stick to the game plan that they've seen on film these first 4 weeks? Or will he come out in something entirely new that they haven't seen and it kind of gets LSU defense all balanced? And can Blake counter to something that he hasn't seen on film, which I think he will, but how long will it take him to figure it out? And so that's what I can't wait to see on Saturday.
Yeah, I think, I would get a lot of relief, a lot of reassurance, if you will, for lack of a better word, if we can see Zy Alexander get activated for this week. I don't know how likely it is. I know he's in that concussion protocol. If we can get that level of the defense back to consistent, this is your starters. This has been kind of what you've been used to. I feel a little better. Like we said, D line's been picking up. Yeah, you got some spots at linebacker you might want to kind of, you know, put under the microscope for a little bit. But you're keeping 2/3 of that core. You're keeping 2/3 of that group. The defense could show you something. That's just going to be in the back of my mind the entirety of the game. What are the rotations are coming out in? What are we looking like going forward? Because I mean, this is life after Harold Perkins for LSU's defense. This was not necessarily worst case scenario. I'm sure you can think of some other scenarios worse, but
I think you're gonna see Wes Weeks, which is the brother of Whit Weeks, get a lot of playing time in this game. They're gonna use him, and I don't know if they're gonna use him at the will or the sound, but I anticipate him having a lot of snaps in this game and helping that linebacker core out. Uh, and we talk about LSU offense. I don't think South Alabama has a shot in hell to stop Garrett Nussmeier and this Joe Sloan called offense. They only have 4 sacks on the season, so they haven't had a good showing of pressure in the quarterback. And so with LSU doing a great job, I think Nuss has been sacked twice this whole season,
yeah, 2 times.
2 times. And so if South Alabama's coming into this game with only 4 sacks on the year, I think Nussmeier is going to have all day tomorrow to be able to go through his reads and throw the ball down the field. Will Chris Hilton play? They saying he should have an opportunity to play this game. They said that last game. We'll see. But I anticipate this LSU offense to keep rolling and put up at least 40 points this game.
I would be thrilled to see that. And I would be thrilled to see Chris Hilton play as well because that's another wrinkle to this offense. The more wrinkles, the better. You want to look like a 60-year-old man's brow forehead area scrunched up on offense in the SEC because the more things, the more options, the more, creativity that you're able to display, the better you're going to be in the long run. The more dimensions, if you will, I feel like guarantees you longevity. You're not going to get cracked. You're not going to get embarrassed. This kind of goes hand in hand with my last key. Don't miss opportunities to score. South Alabama doesn't do well playing catch up. That's kind of been the research that I've shown. We talked about it on the stream. I believe it was Wednesday. I think South Alabama, they average allowing 25 points per game. I
Mm-hmm.
looked at LSU's last 8 games, dialing it back to last year for what it's worth. Might be a wild statistic, but when LSU scores 21 or more, they've only lost one of their last 8. It was Alabama when Jaden Daniels got exited. They played USC and lost the season, yeah, but they only scored 20. My point is, if you get in the end zone more than 3 times, you capitalize on your opportunities, you don't go for it and reach and turn over and do all this stuff, then you're in an opportunity where, or in a situation where you're not behind 2 scores and you're having to change your game plan. You're not at halftime going back to the drawing board. It's tied. Things haven't been working. You got to flip the script. And I know Coach Kelly kind of talked about it in the presser for UCLA. The defense didn't have to change much. They just had to execute. They had to focus on what they weren't doing rather than completely throw the game plan out. A lot of people think at halftime, people just, erase everything, delete memory, hurry up and do an entire new game plan. That'd probably be impossible. So it's not really what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is as long as LSU can go into halftime, have a 2 possession lead, have a 3 possession lead, and be able to just kick their feet up for a little bit and relax. It might be bad, but I think LSU has been playing, you know, not necessarily from behind for the most part of this year, but panic has been set in. That halftime vibe and overall environment has not been the same. It's not that of a SEC, champion caliber team or even a college football playoff team for that matter. There's a lot of teams across the country that can come out and boat race an opponent through 15 minutes. And I just want to see, I need a little bit of that. I want a little taste of it this week.
If you had to predict what the score was going to be, what would you say?
Final score?
Yeah.
All right, my final score prediction. I would say LSU is going to get 31. Well, no, I'm not gonna keep it that light. Oh man, tough spot. I think 38's too high. I'm going between 31 and 38. I think 38's way too high. I'll go 31 to 17.
Nah, man. Joe Sloan has been itching to get to the 40-point mark, and he's going to do it this week. He's going to get to 40. He's going to score 45 points. And Blake Baker, they might give up a touchdown or two in this game, but I think they win this game 45-17.
I like it. Hey, you're right. Joe Sloan, I think he might be the
He
magic.
was pissed off that he didn't get to the 40-point mark last week against I'm having a brain fart.
UCLA.
UCLA. I'm sorry.
That's that G insider knowledge. That's that gem. You gotta know somebody
He
knows.
was pissed off. He was pissed off, man. He was pissed off, man.
That's
He
true.
wanted that. He wanted to get the 40-point mark. And I think he'd do it this week. You know what I mean? So, and that's good momentum going into the bye week, getting prepared for that Ole Miss game.
You need it. You need it. I want to see sixes across the board. I want to see everybody getting targets. I want to see everybody reeling them in. I want to see it all over. I hope the rushing game gets active too, but I think you're right. I think the passing game is going to take a huge leap.
Well, we know what we're gonna get from Caden Durham and Josh Williams. They've been pretty consistent over the last 2 to 3 weeks, right? I'm ready for Caleb Jackson to make his mark in the running game. He was the one that we were talking about all offseason. He was the one that got us excited last season, and we thought he was going to be the next reincarnation of Leonard Fournette. I'm ready for Caleb Jackson to hit his stride and get that momentum and his confidence going into this bye week and getting prepared for that Ole Miss game. I want Lane Kiffin and Pete Golden to watch this South Alabama film and say, God damn, we're going to have to tackle 28 with 2 to 3 people. Come on, Caleb Jackson. We need you to come alive this week against Alabama. This is the week.
What do you think has been kind of holding them back a little bit? Is it the bulk up? What's kind of what's
I think that Caleb came into fall camp not in the best shape. I think that played a part into it. And he was playing catch up throughout fall camp. And what we in week 4, week 5?
this will be week 5?
Week 5. I think now you're starting to see him kind of, get back to his old self. And, last week he had a couple runs where it was like, okay, but it wasn't consistent throughout the whole game. I think this is the week, and this whole week of practice and preparation, he gets back to the Caleb Jackson we've been looking for. So if I had to guess, I think that is the reason why he's been off to a slow start. He didn't come into fall camp in the best shape.
Yeah, because I've been waiting on it. I mean, you were saying the reincarnation of Leonard Fournette. That was my
I didn't say that. That's what a lot of the fans were saying.
that's what I was seeing that. No, I'm one of the fans. That's me. I thought that
Yeah.
was happening. I'm like, dude, this guy's running through people. He's got the speed. I went back to his old high school 100-meter dash times. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, pair this with this size, this ability. Last year, that Mississippi State highlight, I believe it was. I'm watching that at home.
He ran through it on the sideline over.
I feel that through the TV. I
Yeah.
mean, the
And
next
I can't stop but think about the future, right? Him, Caden Durham,
Marlon,
Trey Holly when he gets reinstated, man. Then you got JT Lindsay coming in, Harlem Berry, bro. That's gonna be a talented backfield Frank Wilson gonna have at his disposal for the future.
man, how many times we gonna see 3 running backs out there in the damn formation? We gonna see it be 25 out there.
Uh, Come on, Caleb Jackson, man. Let's see you do your thing this week. Let's go.
So just real quick before we hop out of the South Alabama segment. So let's give the fans a little juice. They got LSU minus 21.5. Are you thinking LSU covers that spread? Because look, last week I bit the hook. I fell for the trap. I said they could, and they only won by 17. And it's a similar spread. So you're trusting this week, LSU, it's boat race city.
I think, just go back to what I just said a few minutes ago. 45-17 is my prediction. That's what I think the score going to be. I think Joe Sloan and Coach Kelly and Cortez Hankton and Frank Wilson and Brad Davis all week, they've been emphasizing we leaving points out there on the field. And when you going against a team like South Alabama, and that is no disrespect to South Alabama. Really good program. They're doing a good job over there. And I gave Major Applewhite his flowers, one of the best offensive minds in college football. But this is LSU, right? They got to beat these people like they stole something on Saturday.
Yep.
You gotta have that confidence and that momentum going into that bye week. I mean, if you come into this game and you beat these people by 14, 17 points, I don't think you leave Death Valley feeling really good about yourself if you're a coach or if you're a player going into that Ole Miss game. If Pete Golden and Lane Kiffin watches that film and they see that you only beat South Alabama by 17 points, a 3-possession game, I think they're licking their chops. And so that's why they have to come out into this game and stump on their neck early and slit their throat in the second quarter. I mean, in the second half. They got to do it. They got to do it. And I think they do it. I think this is the week.
17, that's a 28-point spread. G said throw another touchdown on top of that.
45-17. They get to the 40-point mark.
Well, you know what we where we will be. Got tongue tied right there. You know where we will be after the game on the field, giving you the rundown. Post game show, me and G. It'll be up either that night, Sunday morning. You never know what the way the Wi-Fi goes. Sometimes
Love salt and pepper, man. You know how we do.
little sprinkle on the action. Hopefully, we celebrate the win. I think it could get. I think it could get there.